Hello and good morning to you all from my end, and I hope you all are doing very well. And you preparing for the OIC, summit that has long been, look forward to since 2019, 5 years ago. Good. So I want to share, some facts and opinions about the whole project, because, it is important that, we do this so that the people that, claim knowledge of how, projects work, or how projects are being financed, or how projects are being managed, will have to have the courage and the decency to, minimize what they put on the internet. Because whatever you put on the internet stays on the internet. It doesn't go out. Then there is nothing like joking about, national, projects, things that are of national, interest and good. Is not something that one has to laugh about or joke about. Yeah, so yesterday I asked an estimate of how much is being spent on the entire OIC project. There is nothing like OIC projects. It's OIC project, one project with multiple, sub-projects. There is only one project, that is the OIC project. And the OIC project is to host the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. Only one project. There is nothing like multiple projects. One project with multiple phases. So there is only one project. And I asked about the estimated cost of investment on the OIC project. I was told by someone who was in meeting that the Gambia government spent an accumulative cost of 300 million US dollars. 300 million US dollars is what was spent on the entire OIC project. So that was even an estimate. There is no exact figure of how much was spent. So the estimate is 300 million. Over 300 million US dollars. That is what is being spent on the OIC project. But let's go back to how, international summit or conferences of this magnitude are, are being, bidded for, or why countries bid for, conferences or summits like this, and what is the benefit, or what is the interest that the governments or countries, look forward to getting. For like the AU summit, for example, the bidding was done not because we want to bring African heads of state to the Gambia. No, that is part of, the objectives. That is part of the goods. But the greater good of bidding for the hosting of an international meeting, conference, or summit is the infrastructural facelift that it gives to your country. The infrastructural facelift it gives to your country. That is number one. Number two, the advertisement, the sale of your country's name that it gives to the world. That's two. Number three, the opportunities in terms of job creation, in terms of networking, etc., that it brings. That's number three. Number four, it provides your country the opportunity to be part of, to be part of countries that will be approached on issues. Say, for example, the Gambia hosts the OIC summit, and it becomes very successful. Countries all over the world will want to speak to the Gambia. Not just because it hosted OIC, but because of the success story of the OIC. What made OIC successful in the Gambia, that puts the Gambia into the discussion table. So it's not just about hosting. There are so many important accompanying benefits that comes with the hosting of an international meeting, summit, or conference. It comes with that. It's not just about being a host, but it comes with so many benefits. That's why we host. The AU summit, for example, put the Gambia on the map. It attracted attention to the Gambia. And not just that, it created job opportunities. It empowered, entrepreneurs like Taff to become what he is today. It provided infrastructural uplift, facelift, as in the AU, villa. It provided mobility. It provided the Gambia, Gambia donated vehicles to Bissau. That alone has put the Gambia on the global map. That we help in bringing about the upliftment, in bringing about the restoration of not just peace, but socio-economic status of a country that has been affected by war, and so many other things. So we need to understand that it's not just about hosting an international meeting or conference. It comes with so many other benefits. This is why I have a problem with the outsourcing of so many of those benefits to Senegal. That's why I have a problem. Because the benefits that comes with the hosting of the OIC, majority of it has been outsourced to Senegal. What we have is having it happen in the Gambia. We outsource all of the other benefits, created job opportunities in Senegal, created the advertisement, the coverage to Senegal, and many other things. So in essence, we are only getting minimal of the benefits that we're supposed to have gotten from hosting the OIC summit and give it all out to Senegal. You know why Senegal is being talked about? It's because of hosting OIC and many other things that put Senegal high up there. The hosting of the OIC summit in Senegal contributed to infrastructural uplift of Senegal. A lot of it. A lot of it. It contributed to that. And the same way it should have contributed to the infrastructural uplift of the Gambia. But the problem of the Gambia is that we have got people who have got the privilege of going to school, but they abuse the privilege of going to school in enriching their personal selves. And they don't care how much it affects the nation. They don't care about it. All that they care about is what I will get from it and not what the nation is going to get. That is what is affecting the OIC summit, and that is what has affected. In fact, the delay of it not being hosted in 2019 is because of that. The reason why it was not hosted in 2019 is because of that. Because people have, accumulated so much wealth from it. People like Nyanjai, Lamin, Sane, Esa Bokarsi, and the others accumulated so much wealth from the project, which made it not happen in 2019. And these are the same people that are on the internet defending all the kind of nonsense that is happening. Defending all the kind of nonsense that is happening. A project starts the moment a proposal is being written. That's when a project starts. A project starts the moment a proposal is being written, is when the project starts. Project implementation is not the beginning of a project. No. A project starts from the very moment a proposal has been written. The very moment a proposal has been written, that is when the project starts. The implementation is another phase of the project. The implementation is another phase of the project. The Gambia's pursuit of independence didn't start in 1965. The Gambia's pursuit for independence didn't start in 1965. It started way before 1965, and that is when the project of Gambia's independence started. That is when the project for Gambia's independence started, not in 1965. It started way before 1965. So that was when the project started. But the problem is that, half education is very costly. Momi mankarang at all. Akalo na kon mankarang and accepts that mankarang. But me demanding soto. Okamira okabire soto. And if you want to try to make that person understand, he or she will refuse to understand because he or she thinks that he has already got enough. And that is the problem of our country. That is the problem of our country. A project starts. In fact, not even when the proposal is written. The project starts from when the idea is conceived. That is when the project starts. When the idea is conceived that I want to build a monsoon, that is when the project starts. You put in a draft, a sketch plan or a plan of the house that you want to build. It's the process of the project. You start building the house. It's the project of the process. Until when you are completely done and the key is handed over to you, that is when the project has completed, has been exhausted. So it has a start and it has an end. This is the reason why when people like, or Dr. Sisi and Bakari Kujabi, run around on the internet talking about the Gambia government mobilized all this, I said, no, that is not true. That is not true. The project of OIC started from when it was bidded. The bidding process, it starts from there to when the proposal of what is supposed to be done was written, to when the mobilization for the funds were done, to when the funds were, pledges were made, to when those pledges, percentage of it was given, to when the actual implementation of the project started in building structures, to when it started giving phase, to when request is being made to make supplements to what is being given, to when the project is completed. It's a whole process. A project is a process. It is a process. A project is a process. That's why it is called a project. So it is not true and will never be true to make claims that the Gambia government, under Barrow, mobilized all the funds and it's through its effort that the OIC project came. That is not true. That is not true. And in fact, it becomes far from the truth when it is said that majority of the funds, most of the funds, is being, came from the Gambia government. That is not true. We know that our government doesn't have that money. Doesn't have the money. Where will the Gambia government get most of the funds for 300 million US dollars plus? Well, where will we get that money from? If we have that money, we would have cleared our debt. We would have cleared our debt. And a loan is not your money. The other thing is, a loan is not your money. When you take a loan, it's not your money. It only becomes your money when you don't complete in the payment of that loan. I borrowed money to buy a car. The money I borrowed is not yet mine until when I pay back the person I lent the money from. The person that lent me the money, rather. Until I pay back the person that I borrowed the money from. Until this is why you have in mortgage, you have a collateral. Let's say I borrowed money from the bank to buy a house. The bank has custody of that house until you are done paying the money, the loan, that it becomes yours. Until you are done paying the cost of the house, that it becomes yours. Why don't you claim ownership of the house when you still paying the loan? And why is it that the bank could sell the house if you default the payment of the loan? Yajele, katunyafo is very important in life. Even if you are going to be lonely, you stay lonely. Kamo jamu, for the sake of whatever nonsense of this world, amanjarala. It doesn't worth it. It doesn't worth it. You take loan from the bank to buy a house. The bank uses that as a collateral. They tell you that you have to have a collateral. This is this. If you default this, we take this from you. We take this from you. That means you don't owe it yet. You don't own it. If you own it, they will not ask for collateral. They're not going to ask for collateral. What you own? I want a car. I give 60,000 to buy the car. It is mine because I gave her 60,000. I want to buy a car. It is 60,000. I have only 30,000. I gave 30,000 and I borrowed 30,000 from someone else. It is not yet mine until when I finish paying the 30,000. So you take loan. It is not yours. You borrowed the money. It is not yours. And in fact, you borrow. That's why we inherit debt. That's why we inherit debt. If the money that we borrowed is ours, why will we inherit debt? Why is the Jammeh government inherit debt from PPP? Why did Barrow's government inherit debt from APRC? And why will the next president inherit debt from NPP? Why will they inherit the debt? Why will they inherit it if it is already what we owe? But this is a problem. People go to school, but they refuse to implement the thoughts that they studied in school. You cannot take loan and claim that it is yours. It is not. You borrowed money. Until when you paid back the money, and whatever you spent the money on becomes now legally yours. That yes, I have paid everything, and now this is mine. This is mine. Because when you default the payment of that, you pay more than what you borrowed. You pay more than what you borrowed. So it is not true for the government, through Dr. Sise and whoever is defending him, to claim that most of the spending on the OIC project are from Gambia government's effort or mobilization or whatever they call it. That is not true. That is not true. Majority of his borrowed money. Next to that is gift money. The Gambia government don't have money that will, have a percentage, a higher percentage of 300 million US dollars plus. Where will Gambia government get that money from? 300 million US dollars plus. Where will Gambia government get that from? And it's not even exactly 300 million. It's more than that. They cannot even tell you the exact cost. The exact cost. They cannot even tell you the exact cost. And majority of what was supposed to be done is not done. The roads that they said, the turntable Airport Johnson is just a facelift. It's just a facelift. The feeder roads that were supposed to be built are not being built. The hotel that's supposed to be built is not built. And many other things that were supposed to be done for the OIC project are not done. And the reason why they are not done is because of kickbacks. And this is the major problem of our country. Kickbacks is the major problem of our country. And this is done by people who are in the negotiation of contracts, in the negotiation of projects, in the building of project proposals, and in the procurement of the materials that are needed for the project. They are the people who are part of this problem. They are the people who are part of this. They take a lot of kickbacks from the procurement, from the negotiation of contracts, from the giving out of contracts, from the advertisement of the contracts. They are the people who among us could tell how Abdullah Cham was able to get the project or the contract for the building of the hotel. Where did we see the advertisement? Who saw the advertisement that we want to build a hotel, that we are inviting bidders to come and bid for the building of the hotel? Where did you see it? Nobody saw it. I didn't see it. I didn't see it. And none of you could tell me that you saw it. That alone is illegal. That alone is a procedural malfunction. Is an abuse of the outlined procedures of doing government business. That you don't just give contract to anyone. You put open a contract of that magnitude. The government requires that we put it in the open. And the best of the bidders is chosen to do the work right. To do the work right. But no one can tell me that they saw the advertisement for the building of the hotel, the hotel that, Abdullah Cham won. Who will show me the advertisement? Who will show me the advertisement? Nobody could show the advertisement. And the reason, if you go follow how Abdullah Cham became the winner of that project, there is kickback in it. namala indil damala jo project bini wa su nekkee ne 200 million US dollars la dang ma jo 10 million pour nga am project wow nala jo 10 million jomo project bi nala jo 10 million I give him the project, he gives me 10 million. That's what happens in government. That is what happens in government. And that is corruption. That is corruption. Even this outsourcing of, of things like getting ambulances from Senegal, RTS and all that, kickback is included in it. They call, hey, this didn't even start today. The outsourcing of this ambulance and all stuff happened before even Joma if I was president. So you call, hey, RTS director, you're living, ligi RTS, operational living. So Damabuga convince government, put you outsource coverage be to RTS. Why should you outsource? Lila buga am si lolo no. Lila buga am percentage be ni labuga. Wow, no problem. Haran you negotiate, advertisement for OIC project with Gambi. Then he calls, the companies that want to do the advertisement. Hey, then project. Gambi the new host, OIC summit. Why the new job project we put new def, publicity be. So buge, project be nyari fan la. Why li ngay fay pour advertisement. Wa nama fay 50 million US dollars. Wa okay. All right, 50 million la advertisement, company with the fair pour advertisement. Now la 5 million see 50 million. The Gambian counterpart goes to the government and say, GRTS doesn't have the funds. GRTS doesn't have the manpower. GRTS doesn't have the resources. GRTS doesn't have the equipment. It's better off we go with RTS. It's better off we go with RTS because they are international. They are this blah, 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 blah. Government accepts and say, hey, it's true. RTS is international. Let's take it to RTS. They take it to RTS. He denies. The person denies GRTS the opportunity to go international and takes it to RTS. RTS gets the project. RTS and Dr. Sise comes and say, we are not giving a putut to RTS. We are not giving a putut to RTS. But RTS has a contract, advertisement contract for 2 days, which could pay Dr. Sise's salary for 5 years. And then RTS gets that. RTS gives the Gambian counterpart who outsourced that whole thing to Senegal, gives him 5 million. He sits with his 5 million and say, look at these foolish people. They don't even know. This is how government functions. This is how it works. They do that. The same for the outsourcing of emergency medical response that they took away from Gambia Red Cross Society and took it to Senegal. The same thing. Hey, go to government, a clinic in Senegal, say, hey, ñun dañ am project and this is international. Halis bu bari mo fa nekk. Dañ dama bëgg ñu outsource ko waaye dama ma jox sama percentage. Say ñaata laay am nañ lefino rek harama wa nguur gi wala ne mënuñ ko def Gambia nañ ko yóbbu Senegal. He goes to government and say, Gambia Red Cross doesn't have the human resource. Gambia Red Cross doesn't have the expertise. They don't have the know-how. They cannot do it. We don't want the project to fail. They could go and then we know issues of fuel. The ambulance could run down and all that blah, 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 blah. Barrow said, oh, yeah, you make a good idea. Senegal is very developed. Senegal and nyo de leka, nto leka kini ngodamo. Nyo de, laka bena, laka bi krip karab gina fi duka. So, okay, we outsourcing it to Senegal. It goes to a clinic in Senegal. The clinic gets, if it was 5 million that was spent in the Gambia, it goes to the clinic. The clinic takes 4 million and gives the guy 1 million. This is what has been affecting our country from 1965 to date. This is what has been affecting our country from 1965 to date. And this is a practice that is inherited from the West. A practice that is inherited from the West. This is what they call lobbying. Lobbying. It's a practice that is inherited from the West. It's happening in America. You commit a major felony that, you're going to spend the whole of your life in prison. You have money, you give money to the lobbyists. The lobbyist goes to the presidency or the people close to the presidency. Lobby for you to be part of the pardon, the people that will be pardoned by the president. Next minute, the president gives a pardon and leaves you out, gets you out because you paid money. That's lobbying. That's what happened. Me that don't have money and committed a major crime remains in prison for good because I don't have money. This is a practice that has been inherited from the West, and who implements it in the Gambia? The people that have gone to school. The people that have gone to conventional school. This is why you see all of these things happening, going to Senegal. It's our own Gambian people that are doing it. Our own Gambian brothers and sisters that are doing it and getting their own percentage from it. Getting their own percentage from it. The same thing with the procurement. The reason, like the case of Gambia Ports Authority, in which 32 million has been wasted, is the same process. The same process. The spare parts, good spare parts are sold in Turkey. I don't know anyone in Turkey. If I go there, I have to pay the exact amount. Let me go to Senegal. I know somebody. I know someone who knows someone in Senegal. I speak to that someone so that he could speak to the other someone. I speak to that someone, and that person speaks to another someone. They go to Senegal, buy the parts that are poor in quality. I give this someone that knows someone in Senegal 2 million. He gives the other one 2 million, and he gets to the and buy less of quality parts. Comes back, it doesn't stay its duration. It doesn't stay its duration. This is what is happening. That's why I said the most corrupt people in the Gambia are the procurement officers, particularly in government. They are the most corrupt people because they are the people responsible for most of these, purchase and all of this. They are the most corrupt, and they are part of the corrupt people. You ask them who are the corrupt people in government, they could point fingers to you for the corrupt people because they know. They know each other. They know each other. And this is what is affecting our country from 1965 to date. 1965 to date. They tell you that we want to buy an X-ray machine. The procurement officer will go and buy low-quality X-ray machine to get change, to get kickback. He will go to the vendor who is going to give him less, and he brings a bigger budget, a bigger invoice. They do that. They do that. That's what they do. And that is part of the reason why the OIC project haven't got all that it has to. And not just OIC project. All of the projects in the Gambia, all of the projects that have failed, that are of low quality, low output, is because of that. Because of that. If the cement that they're supposed to buy is 450 for bag, they go and buy the low quality cement for 300. And they have the extra money. They take the extra money. And the road has 1-2 years, it gets spoiled. When in the budgeting, it was budgeted for $500 for bag of cement. So instead of buying 450, which they added 50 extra, they would go and buy less than 450. These are things that are happening. These are things that are happening. That's why when I see this, you see, Bilai Gambia yalong iko mandinko loko sinyo ya mun jutu ne yalt mandinko loko sinyo ya mun jutu ne yalt enemy city ibuka horma. The person that you know, you don't give respect to that person, you don't honor that person because you belittle that person. Sinyo ya mun jutu ne yalt. Yeah, because I see some folks writing nonsense here, like Bakari Kujabi Kante on Facebook, like him. Alafa eko ndoko maninkolo ko sinyo ya munjutu ne yalt. You look at people from far, you belittle them because you think you know everything and all that. And he's claiming that I do not know what bilateral agreement or pledges, what multilateral pledges. A pledge in the first sense is not an agreement. It's not a contract. It's not something that is legal binding. You come to me, you said, Mohammed, I want to, build a 2-bedroom apartment. And I want you to help me. I said, okay, I will help you. How much is the cost? The cost of building a 2-bedroom apartment is $5. I said, okay, I will help you, but give me time. I pledge to help you. Give me time. You come back and you said, I say, oh, I promise to help you. and the cost is $5. But unfortunately, this and this came, and I couldn't give you $5, but I have $3 for you. I have $3 for you. Or you come and say, hey, the Jaranka, professionals in government, we want to build a road in Jara, and we want all of you to help in, contribute in the building of that road. They come to me, I say, I'll give $10. They go to Mohammed, and he says he's going to give $5. They go to Pate, he says he's going to give $3. They go to Binta, he says he's going to give $2. When the time comes, Binta said, nte dingo nata futu sito, soto, nte $3 so min soto, na $1 bondiji, na kala futu sito, $2 tutambulo, nte bola kalaji. They come to me and I say, oh, one of my Nyominka son had, a motorbike which needed repair. The $10 that I have, I remove $3 there and I use it to repair the motorbike. So I have only $7. So from $10, I have only $7, and I do that. And I use that. So if the pledge at the beginning was $20 accumulative, at the end when we are collecting, it is $10. Why? Because situations arise, problems came, and what we were expecting was not what is there. Was not what is there. Yeah, but people claim, because you see, that's why as a professional, you have to be inquisitive. You don't have to be limited to only your domain. You have to be inquisitive. You have to seek. I always say this. I said the seeking knowledge is not a wasteful investment. It's not a wasteful adventure. You are a procurement officer. It is good for you to know about security. It's good for you to know about tourism. It's good for you to know about medicine, because there is medicine in tourism. There's medical tourism. There's security in procurement. There's law in procurement. You are a doctor. It's important for you to know about tourism. It's important for you to know about procurement. It's important for you to know about project proposals. It's important for you to know about pledges, because that is included in the practice of medicine, in the provision of healthcare. It's important. It's part of it. And it's important for you to know the, in and outs of negotiations, in and out of, contract, signing of contracts. It's important. But if you want to be limited, that I am a doctor, I have to know only medicine. I am a procurement officer, I only have to know procurement officer. I am a tourism and hospitality professional, I have to know only tourism and hospitality. You limit yourself. You limit yourself. And this is the problem with the folks on Facebook. They said I want to know, or I claim to know everything. That is not true. I only make an opinion. I only make an opinion based on the experience and knowledge I have about that. I don't talk about things that I have no opinion about. I don't talk about things that I have no opinion about. And I don't ignore things that are common sense, because I have 5 common sense. I don't ignore things that are common sense, because I have 5 common sense. So if you have 5 common sense and you don't want to use your 5 common sense in talking about things that are of common sense, then what is the use of you having the 5 common senses? What is the use? What is the use of you having them? It's useless. And language is very important. Language is very important. When you make a comparison, Dr. Caesar said most of the funds for the OIC project are from Gambia government. He made a comparison that what Gambia government gave or contributed to what others contributed, what Gambia government contributed is more than any other one. That's what he said. And again in language, he said the OIC projects. He didn't say the roads. He didn't say the conference center. He didn't say the vehicles. He didn't say, the emergency response. He said OIC project. The project is a whole. It's a whole. He spoke about the OIC project, which is the whole. And he said the contributions to that project, most of it is from Gambia government. And he didn't even stop there. He said it is through the leadership of the president. And that is not true, because when the project was conceived, to when the bidding of the project was done, to when the acceptance was done, the president was not there. The president was not there. But Barrow said he's a political animal, and I believe that he's a political animal. He made Dr. Sise the Minister of Information so that he will tell the people, Barrow, will tell the people, the guy that said, I do not have the pedigree, I do not have the intellect, I do not have the wisdom, I do not have the knowledge to run this country, is the guy that I will use to lie to you people. That's what he said. That's what he's doing. That's what Barrow is doing. That's what Barrow is doing. And Jammeh was doing the same thing. Jammeh was doing the same thing. Barrow is telling Gambians, Alajubi, min kolunko, malong, mbole kala wuliya fola ti saying, aka fongo doya, dunia benyati lingol. That's what Barrow is doing. That's why he make him Minister of Information. That's why he made him Minister of Information. The Minister of Information is the chief propagandist of a government. Go. Again, they will say that I want to know everything. But go and check. The Minister of Information is the chief propagandist of the government. The Minister of Information is the chief propagandist of the government. And what is propaganda? What is propaganda? Is the pursuit, the process of selling out an idea or a project, most often that is not true, to win approval. That's what propaganda is. That's what propaganda is. And Barrow has made Sise, who said he doesn't have the knowledge, he doesn't have the experience, he doesn't have the ability to run government. Barrow has made him the chief propagandist of government. Just look at that. That's what Barrow is doing. That's why he said he's a political animal. And he's right that he's a political animal. He's able to reduce a political scientist into a propagandist. That's what Barrow is doing. And many other people who said he doesn't have the intellect, he doesn't have the wisdom, he doesn't have the knowledge to run government, he brings them and reduces them. He brings them and reduces them to praise singers. That's what he's doing. That is what he is doing. So people should not be happy with mediocrity. They shouldn't be happy I have never in life feel comfortable with low level. I always aspire for what is high up there. If I don't reach it, I know next time I will try again. So to say at least the Gambia is hosting the OIC summit, that is itself a defeat. Once you said at least in English, it means you are accepting deficiency. Once you go to bed with at least, you are accepting deficiency. You are accepting deficiency. When you say at most, you put in, a bar up there. When you say at least, you're reducing the bar. So when you say at least the Gambia is hosting OIC, you are reducing the bar. You are accepting deficiency. And this is what is common of all of us as Gambians. That is what is common of all of us as Gambians. That's why we cannot be the Singapore that Jawara aspired us to be. We cannot be the Dubai that Jammeh dreamed of. We cannot be whatever country that Barrow thinks of Gambia to become. We cannot be. Because we feel very okay with inferiority. We feel very okay with the with the little, with the lowest. With the lowest. You know how much money Senegal is getting and Mauritania from the vehicles that have been, rented from Senegal and Mauritania. You know how much money they're going to get there? Huge money. They're going to get huge money from that. But there are businesses in the Gambia. There are businesses in the Gambia who do car rentals. They do car rentals. Who could have been used, even if they are not providing the model that you need. The project didn't start today. The project started long time ago. And it didn't happen in 2019. 2019 to 2024, that's 5 years. 5 years. If the Gambia government was ready to keep the revenue in the Gambia. The people that were, involved in involved in the rental of cars could have been involved. And tell them, 2024, we are hosting the OIC summit. And we want you to import vehicles of this model for the OIC summit. We want you to import vehicles of this model for the OIC summit. And we want you to import this number, this quantity. 5 years. They will do it. They will do it. And that revenue stays in the Gambia. It doesn't go out. It stays in the Gambia. They said he who fails to plan, plans to fail. He who fails to plan, plans to fail. So you have 5 years. 2019, it didn't happen. 5 years you have. You know you will need vehicles. You know you will need an emergency medical team or response team. You know you will need A, B, C, Y, Z. 5 years you could have planned for all of that and keep it in the Gambia. The Ministry of Health alone could have mobilized an emergency medical team which is up to standard. Ministry of Health alone. They could have done that. They could have done that. Mobilize an emergency medical team which is Gambian. Which is Gambian. By Gambia and for the Gambia. Ministry of Health could have done that. They don't need 3 months to do that. They don't even need 2 weeks to do that. They don't even need that. They could have mobilized that. All that they will need is have an orientation of them. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. This is what. They could have done that. And the Ministry of Health with Gambia government, they purchase ambulances not long ago. Why can't they use those ambulances? They could. But because we don't plan, we don't. People keep telling me, I saw Lami Kesedi saying that, we are hateful of our neighbors. But he refuses to know history. He refuses to know history. I am always scared to make this example because of what is happening today. But I always want to make the example so that people could reflect. Russia and Ukraine are 2 countries of the same people. They are 2 countries of the same people. And Russia used to supply Ukraine with gas. They used to supply Ukraine with gas. The gas that Ukrainians were using was coming from Russia. And these countries were very much in bed. You know how it happened? Russia, when they went at odds, Russia just decided to switch off the gas supply. To switch off the gas supply. And that nearly costed Ukraine. That nearly costed Ukraine. And these people are the same people. These people are the same people. Geopolitics is even at the level, not long ago, like yesterday or day before yesterday, we had siblings, a sibling stabbed the other sibling. And about a week ago, we had another sibling stab the sibling in Combo South or Combo North. We heard of that. If siblings could stab each other, people that came from the same womb could stab each other. Why do you feel comfortable that countries that are divided cannot go odds, cannot disagree in the future? Yeah, but that goes to see how we think as Gambian. That's why I always talk about patriotism. Civic education and patriotism. We lack that. We lack that. We don't look at Gambia. In America, regardless of what America is doing wherever in the world, they always talk about, everybody talks about America first. America first. Everybody talks about America first. And the same mentality is in Senegal. Senegal mo ñu ñor. Everybody says that. Senegal mo ñu ñor. But in the Gambia, it's the opposite. The Gambia don't care. Everybody, almost everyone. Because when you say majority, it means almost everyone. Majority of the Gambian thinks about personal. If I'm going to get 5 million for my own self, for a project that is going to get the Gambia at risk, I do not care. Let the Gambia be at risk. Let me get my 5 million. That's the mentality in the Gambia. That's the mentality in the Gambia. You don't hand over. Guinea-Bissau today is using safer because of the same. In 2017, I said, that Senegal is on a mission because I saw and I read what happened in Bissau. I read and know what happened in Bissau. I said Senegal Macky Sall took advantage of the situation of Gambia during the impasse to get what Ablaye Diouf couldn't get. And even Senghor couldn't get. He took advantage and got that. He got that. And I said Senegal is going to milk our economy. It's going to suppress our economy to a stage that if we are not careful, we become subordinates of Senegal. And in the long run, if we are not careful, we become, the first Anglophone country that will use CFA. The first Anglophone country that will use CFA. Because that will be to the benefit of Senegal, and it will be to the benefit of France. I said this, but they said I am disgruntled. They said I want to know everything. People like Bakari, he's caught. They said I want to know everything. But today we see it. The reality of what I said in 2017, 2018 is happening today. Even those that were calling me names are crying of Senegal today. The people that were calling me names, who I was giving warning to in 2017, 18, today are crying about Senegal. Are crying about Senegal. Today they are crying. It includes Alaji Sidi Barrow. The one that is at West Coast Radio every day shouting about Barrow. He was part of it. He was part of it. When I said in 2017, 2018, they thought I was disgruntled. He who refuses to learn from history has himself to be blamed for whatever a repeat of history brings. For whatever a repeat of history brings. And this is what is happening in our country. Every source of revenue is being outsourced to Senegal. Every source of revenue is being outsourced to Senegal. How are we going to increase our, gross domestic product? How are we going to do that if what we're supposed to help increase our gross domestic product is being sent out to Senegal? What are we going to get? What are we going to get? Nothing. But this is the pay of putting in a trial president. I don't blame Barrow because he told us from the very beginning that he doesn't know. He told us from the very beginning he doesn't know. If we had made mistake of getting him there, we shouldn't have made mistake of allowing people who are crooks, who are corrupt people to further get him into the basin of not knowing. Who will further take him to the reservoir of not knowing. That's what is happening. That's what is happening. Now we are outsourcing everything, every means of increasing our socio-economic status. We take it out to Senegal. We take it out to Senegal in the name of Senegal-Gambia Benel. Senegal-Gambia Benel. You know how much Gambians pay at the border to the custom officers of Senegal? And they say Senegal-Gambia Benel. You know how much they pay? You know how much they pay? But they keep seeing Gambians keep being delusional, being fools, saying that Senegal-Gambia Benel. Until I die, I will never see Senegal request for GRTs to go and cover a major event in Senegal. In fact, it is an insult to the health fraternity of the Gambia, to the medical fraternity of the Gambia, to import medical personnel from Senegal to come and oversee a Gambian project. That is an insult. That is an insult. It's just like the insult that we had in inviting Egyptians to come and speak about female circumcision when we have Gambian doctors who could speak the language that our people will hear about it. But we went and invited foreigners to come and insult us. That's the way we insult ourselves as Gambians. All because we lack civic awareness. We lack the patriotism of seeing how it is important to put our country first, to put pride in raising Gambian flag. In raising the Gambian flag. We have no shame, and we see no shame in reducing our country to a laughingstock. They call us the 11th region of Senegal. That's what they say. And they are right to say it. They are right to say it because we have reduced ourselves to a region of Senegal. We have reduced ourselves to a region of Senegal, and we see no shame in it. I don't know how these people sit and think and reason, even if this even sit and reason about their actions. Because every human being, ideally, should sit sometimes and reflect on what he or she has done. Every being should do that. Every being should do that. But we don't do that. We don't do that. Even during Jawara's time, he don't import people. He bring technical support. One person come and train Gambians. That's technical support. But you go and import a whole bunch as if you don't have any in the Gambia. That's the insult that we have, and that's what the government is doing. And people are propagating that. People are supporting that and calling it hate. When you call that out, they call it hate. That's why I said we only have a change of driving seat, but we don't have any change. The PPP Jawara Jamano sycophants that we had is the same thing that was changed to the Green Boy sycophants. And it's the same thing that has been changed to the NPP sycophants, who are all over the internet talking about, hate Kenafi government. It's the same sycophancy. It's the same sycophancy. And the same people who want to preach to me, telling me about, this blah, blah, ABCD. Nonsense. It's the same sycophancy. The same thing we spoke about the people who do not have qualifications to be in Jammeh's government, to be in Jawara's government. It's the same thing we are talking about today in Barrow's government. It's the same thing we are talking about today in Barrow's government. People like Dusano, Shehu Mbalo, being advisors to the presidency, when we have got people who are qualified and experienced enough to be advisors to the presidency based on policy and the best standard. We don't do that. We don't do that, and we feel comfortable that we're doing good. We are doing well. What will Dusano advise the presidency that someone who sat in a classroom and has got the qualifications at the level of postgraduate cannot do? What will Dusano advise the presidency that someone who has sat in a classroom and have got the knowledge and experience cannot give? Say Umbalo and the like. Political patronage is part of our problem. Political patronage. Political patronage. And so what we're supposed to have gained from the OIC summit, what we were supposed to get from the OIC summit, is all given out to Senegal. What we have is a skeleton, the name of it being held in the Gambia, but everything has been given out to Senegal. Even the hotel that you're talking about. Ask the people, how did Cham get that hotel project? How did he get that hotel project? How did Cham get that hotel project? And who is involved in Cham getting that hotel project? Who was involved? I know all of that, and I have information of all that. That's why I said when Barrow's government is done, when we have a commission, we're going to forget about all of the problems of this world. We will forget about the problems of this world. That alone will occupy our minds for a very long time. For a very long time. For a very long time. Yeah, because people talk about corruption, they talk about nepotism, they talk about, abuse of office. And the same thing is happening. The same thing is happening. Dauda Jallow, who is the justice minister, knows that the same thing is happening. But like I said, Gambians, majority of us don't care what is happening, in as much as we are getting what we want. In as much as we are getting what we want, we don't care. We don't care. And it's a shame. That's why I said, if we want to have a new page for our country, we have to start by educating our kids in kindergarten about patriotism. Teach them about patriotism. Teach them about nationality. Teach them that you have to fight for country before yourself. This is what Chinese do. This is what Asians do. That's why they are wherever they are. And it's what America is doing. That's why when you become a citizen, you do a citizen test before becoming. You take a pledge of allegiance. Because they want you to have the idea, the ideology, and the passion, the marriage, the belief, the bond of nation before yourself. This is not what is happening in the Gambia. A few handful of people embezzle all of the money that was supposed to have a very good infrastructural uplift of our country to enrich themselves, and then they bring, nonsense thing, and they said, then the people that go to bed with nonsense say, oh, at least they've done something. At least they've done something. At least they've done something. That at least they've done something. That is what is keeping our country in the nonsense that we are in to date from 1965. And that's why we have an increase, in our national debt every year. It's because of that. That at least they've done something. It's why our national debt is increasing every day. Even those that are not born yet have got a share to the debt. They've got a share to the national debt. And if you are to quantify the percentage of the debt that was spent on Gambia's business, a minute of it was spent on Gambia's business. Majority of them was embezzled by Gambians. Majority of them was not spent about Gambia. That's the situation we are in. And when you want to talk, they say you are being hateful. You want to know everything. We want the good for our country. We want what is going to take our country forward. Senegal is RTS, even if you are not paying them a butut. They are getting huge in return. They're selling their country abroad. They're selling their country very far. The coverage of OIC alone is taking them very far. They just hosted it. So they're going to provide another coverage to provide a continuity of the publicity they already had. And the advertisements that they're going to sign, that is benefit for them. But Dr. Cisse doesn't think that way. He thinks that because we're not giving them a butut, there is no other means of them generating money from that. When GRTS, 5 years, GRTS could have been equipped to provide the standard they could. 2019 today, GRTS could have done that. GRTS could have done that. But because we don't care. We don't care. And the people that are supposed to speak to the president about doing that don't care. They want to get kickbacks by including someone else. That's our problem. That's our problem. If 5 years GRTS was prepared for that, they would have created more jobs because they would have needed people who have the expertise to do whatever they have to do. They would have created more jobs by employing more people because they will need to expand. And that is going to reduce unemployment in the country. That is going to increase revenue generation at the level of the individual and at the level of government. But we didn't do that. We sent all that to Senegal. We sent all that to Senegal because we were not prepared. And we didn't have the foresight of preparing for that. Imagine, if GRTS was equipped for the OIC summit from 2019 to date, it would have upgraded GRTS to another level. And even after the OIC summit, GRTS would have gained a step further. But we didn't do that. We want to keep GRTS at where it is and empower RTS. And Dr. Cisse will tell us that they don't even give a butut. What a shame. What a shame. But until then, we will continue to be where we are, stagnant as how we are since 1965. Because we don't want to see national progress. We always think about ourselves. And that will continue to affect our country. And the greater problem is the people that know wrong, but they still do not have shame. They are not scared. They do not fear about defending the wrong. They don't care. They don't care. And that is the unfortunate truth about our country. Until then, you have a very good day. Bye-bye.